Hello, ladies and gentlemen, infidels. In this occasion, I will be talking about the apologetic dishonesty of Greg Bahnsen. Man, this guy is a really piece of work, right? And obviously is Darth Dawkins' idol, big, massive idol. Okay, and the video that I'm going to review is only going to be the first 10 or 11 minutes, give or take, right? Because the video is actually 2 hours long, and it's absolutely stupid to watch a whole 2 fucking hours of bullshit. Anyway, right? So, yeah, I think I said it. Yeah, reasoning with unbelievers. That's not like a contradiction in terms, but let's see it. Yeah.
You're going to be looking for four things whenever you have a discussion with an unbeliever.
Right. Presupposition apologists, right, don't have discussions, right? By their own system of work, they are 100% argumentative, without a shadow of a doubt. They're always attacking the other person. Instead of defending their own bullshit, they attack the other person. Or the unbeliever, basically.
When you get into an apologetical encounter or dispute with an unbeliever, there are four things in particular you're going to be looking for. And I'm going to speak of each one. First of all, you'll be looking for prejudicial, where we talk here, prejudicial conjectures.
Right. Prejudicial conjecture. Right, this is a presup weapon, right, and is intended not to be honest with the other party, because I've actually researched it. I wasn't quite sure what it meant, right, and I googled the blinking thing, right. A conjecture is an opinion or conclusion formed on the basis of incomplete information. So what I'm thinking is actually that he is projecting the same as Darth Dawkins, and also prejudicial, right, is being harmful to somebody else, right, or basically be detrimental. So whatever he says prejudicial conjecture, think about him doing it, okay, not the unbeliever, but him, because it's all about attacking the other view and not trying to validate your own point of view, because they can't.
Put it very simply, you want to be on the lookout for arbitrariness.
Right, he's talking about arbitrariness, something that Darth Dawkins talk a hell of a lot, right? Bahnsen and this idiot Darth Dawkins says that we are arbitrary. We cannot be arbitrary, because arbitrary is based on random choices or personal whim, rather than any reason or system, which is actually opposite of using common sense and the scientific method, right? So if we say I'm going to use science, we cannot be arbitrary. It can't, right? Because we're not making random choices, right? We're not making a personal win. So he's conflating the term, and we're not using arbitrary. So that is a defeater by itself. Let's carry on.
And what the unbeliever is arguing. One of the two great intellectual sins that men commit, no matter what field of study you're in.
Remember, intellectual sin, a sin regardless of your field of expertise,
is arbitrariness.
No, that's your stupidity, Greg. Okay? We don't guess. We don't make random choices. We don't in a field. How can a neurosurgeon, right? It says, "Oh, I've got a personal whim. Let me operate this way." No, you've been unprofessional, right? But because you, Greg Bahnsen, and Darth Dawkins are a piece of shit, right? You think we are doing arbitrary things, which is absolutely incorrect.
The other one is inconsistency.
Right, let's talk about inconsistency. What type of inconsistency are you talking about? Right, we cannot be inconsistency if we use a reason or a system approach. We can't. It's by default impossible.
No one is allowed to be arbitrary if you're trying to present a rational basis for what you believe. And no one is being rational in presenting a basis for what they believe if they contradict themselves.
We're not contradicting, right? First of all, for example, your Padawan, Mr. Bahnsen, your Padawan, which is Darth Dawkins, we cannot contradict if he does not allow the other person to talk. Okay, it's impossible, right? Even if we want to contradict ourselves, it would be pointless to argue with a fucking Christian if we contradict ourselves. We can't. I'm being consistent, right? I'm telling you what it is, right? And that's it. It's that simple.
They're inconsistent. And so arbitrariness is something you need to be on the lookout for. Believe it or not, I don't know if I could justify this statistic, but subjectively, it seems to me probably...
Subjectively, so it is your fucking guess. Okay? Now, who's going to be the inconsistent one or the arbitrariness? You're just going to make a random guess or choice or a personal whim. Let's hear it.
80%.
Where do you come up with that number? You're just making it up. You're just making a choice, a random choice. Yeah? You are the epiphany of arbitrariness.
Of your work in apologetics is taken care of if you'll just be on the...
You see, your work is taken care of. So you're not even working. You just say somebody's arbitrary just for the sake of saying it. Yeah, that's an assertion. Right? Do you know what an assertion is, Mr. Grip? Oh, you're fucking dead. Right? It's saying something, yeah, whether they know it's true or not. Repeating it many times, giving the emphasis, but simply asserting something to be the true, or what we are saying that it's not true, that does not make you establish the fact of your assertion. So you asserting something as true is not valid, right? Because you haven't got a fucking clue what you're saying. And when I say you, I'm also mentioning Gary Mill, with Darth Dawkins.
Look out for people saying anything they want to say.
Well, anybody can say whatever they want to say. It's called freedom of speech, idiot. Right? That doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. That's irrelevant.
80% of what the unbeliever ends up doing turns out to be totally unfounded.
Says the ignorant.
Giving of his own opinion. To which you should say, so what? So that's your opinion.
Okay, we can have an opinion. We could be wrong, but it's still an opinion. Right? And we are consistent, not inconsistent. Which you are wrong.
Now why do you believe that?
Believing doesn't matter. We can believe whatever the fuck we want. Yeah, that doesn't make us the claim to be true, i.e. the knowledge claim. Right? We don't know. I believe that you're an asshole. I believe Darth Dawkins lives with his mother in his mother's basement. I don't know if that... Well, I know it's true because I know his address. Right? But that's not here nor there. Right? But I am consistent. I'm not inconsistent. I know exactly where that geezer lives. Okay? So, yeah.
It distresses me to see Christians get into apologetical debates with unbelievers, and when they're going back and forth, the unbeliever is pressing the Christian for a reason for this and a reason for that, and when the Christian gets...
What's wrong with that?
...answers back, the unbeliever, parries them off with this or that opinion, and we just say, oh, what do we do now?
Take it, or put your point of view across with a better option. But let's see what you got.
Well, you should press the unbeliever for some reason for the way in which he's responding to the evidence.
Why? So you're arguing the way it is expressed, not the evidence to back it up. Right? For example, if you say that the God made the heaven and the earth, right, or made the 6 days of creation, right, and then the fourth day made the sun, I could say, oh, hold on. In my rationale, I can say the first 3 days, how the fuck he made the rotation of the cycle of the 24-hour days without a sun. Oh, he made this light here, made this light there, or he's light. Well, if it's light everywhere, then it's not 24 hours, because light is everywhere. Okay, the mere fact that you're actually establishing a 24-hour is because it's day and night, darkness and light. Okay, so you need rotation. You need a sun for that, and actually rotation. What makes it day and night is the rotation. right? So if you have light everywhere, the rotation is irrelevant. It will be light every day. So first day, second day, third day, and then the fourth day you make the sun. It's a lie. So if I put that across to you, what are you going to say? You're going to challenge the way I'm saying it. That's dishonesty, right? That's all what precepts are. You're a bag of idiots.
He cannot, she cannot, may not be, if you're going to be rational, arbitrary. Believe me, this is the biggest problem in witnessing to people, is that they think they have the right to just believe whatever they want.
Hold on. You just said that we don't have the right to believe whatever we want. You believe in a fucking fairy tale. The same as your Padawan Darth Dawkins. Right? Your small little minion Darth Dawkins. Right? Arbitrary. We not choose randomness. Yeah, we're not saying something out of a whim. We use our critical thinking. Right? You are not. You are actually projecting your own way of doing things by the way you are talking in that way.
When it comes to religion, they can just be arbitrary. But if you want to get into an apology,
you see, now you're making the assertion again. Okay? You're making a statement that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Right? They're making we are being arbitrary. You don't know even what the case is about. Oh, it is inside of your 80%. Right. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Apologetical dispute, as I indicated in our earliest lectures, that assumes that people are seeking to be rational and seeking the objective truth. They're seeking to be rational as they seek the...
We're not seeking objective truth. We're just seeking truth. Truth is truth regardless. Well, so there are subjective truth and objective truth. I thought there was only one single truth. Or you cherry picking what you want.
The objective truth. And it's not a sign of rationality to be arbitrary, just to believe anything you wish. And
believe in anything is not arbitrary. Okay? I believe you're talking out of your ass. It's not a whim, it's a fact.
The version of arbitrariness is found in the conjectures which are completely arbitrary or unfounded.
Conjecture is incomplete information. Okay, so your technique is saying, oh, you haven't got sufficient information, so it's conjecture. Right? And you are fighting that against us. You are deceiving people. You're deceiving. They should get your the money back from your lecture. You're dishonest.
Prejudicial, as I've set up on the board, on the part of the unbeliever. One sometimes finds unbelievers, both educated and uneducated, who take offense against Christian.
Could it be precepts educated and also uneducated? Yeah, like Darth Dawkins, because he talks a lot of fucking shit. Okay, when intelligent atheists debate him or collide with him, right, and it seems to be more intelligent than Darth Dawkins. What is your fucking Padawan does? Block him, boot him, or whatever. Okay, that's childish. That shows how incoherent, right, inconsistent, how arbitrary Darth Dawkins is.
Christianity before they're familiar with what they're talking about.
Christianity. What about the religions before that? What about the people who talk about anything before Christianity? Were they arbitrary? Were they inconsistent? You're full of shit.
And in the place of honest research and assessment of the available...
Says who? You think you've been honest?
...evidence concerning some aspect of the Bible.
By the way, you want evidence. You cannot show evidence. Because your system of belief is based on faith. It's believing without any good reason, funny enough. Right? You've been inconsistency. Right? Actually, the whole thing about prejudicial conjecture is your projection of your own bullshit precept.
Many unbelievers simply substitute personal conjecture for what seems likely to them in the place of argumentation and reasoning. For instance, since the Bible was supposed to be written so many
supposedly be written, right? Supposedly be being written.
Years ago, it just seems likely to many unbelievers that we cannot trust the text of the Bible, which we have in our hands today. Surely, they'll say, scribes have altered and supplemented the original text, so that we can't be sure that...
Hold on. How do you know there is an original text? You're actually assuming that. You're making an assertion without backing it up.
What we have in front of us is actually what Moses or Jeremiah or John or Paul said.
Oh, you mean the characters in the Bible? You are asserting a criteria of truth based on the characters on the Bible, on a man-made story. Oh, I see. Is that how you go, yeah?
For all we know, what we read in our Bibles came from the pen of some kind of monk in the Dark Ages. I've actually had people say that. We don't know if that's what the original said. I mean, some monk in the Middle Ages made it.
Some monk in the Middle Ages. Some monk in the Middle Ages were translating a copy of many copies from different locations. So you're talking nonsense.
They said that. Now that kind of ignorant criticism.
Ignorant. It's actually factual, my man. Scribe, that's the job of the scribe, to translate or to copy something that had a origin meaning. It could have been another scribe, and the new scribe are copying it or even translating, which makes it worse. What are you talking about?
Seems intellectually sophisticated to many unbelievers. After all, in our natural human experience, often messages get garbled or distorted or augmented in the process of being passed from one person to another, right? We've all lived in nice big families where a message goes from one hand to another, and by the time you get it, it's not really in its pure form. So we say, since we've seen that happen in our natural experience, we should just take for granted that that's got to be true about the Bible as well.
Well, yes, because it's oral tradition of whatever concept, religious ideology, right? It was done verbally, word of mouth, right? You only need one chain of 20 or 30 people in the same era, in the same place, to actually get it wrong, a phrase, never mind decades.
Oh. To unbelievers who reason this way, we mustn't tire of pointing out that they are relying upon conjecture and not upon research in what they are saying.
Really? What conjecture? Seriously, what conjecture? Do we have incomplete information? Right? Even so, even if it's an opinion or conclusion based on incomplete information, right? It's up to you to complete it, but don't say that we don't know what we're saying, right? There's precedence, there's a history behind that. When you say something to somebody and then 5 or 10 or 100 people write it at the end, the story is not going to be the same as the person who said it verbally in the first place. That's been confirmed many years ago.
Now, it may seem likely that the biblical text would no longer be reliable, no longer be authentic.
Well, it's not reliable, period.
After all these years. But the likelihood, that judgment of likelihood, is an evaluation that rests upon presuppositions that are arbitrary. Presuppositions.
We're not making presuppositions, right? We're going by actual fact of how things happen with a human interaction, right? We talk, somebody interprets it in a way, they relate to somebody else, even if we actually say it without even hiding the words, right? Somebody else will distort it in a different way.
That are nothing more but prejudice. Let's see if we can see the prejudice in this line of reasoning. How
can we be harmful when two people interpret different things? You actually contradiction. You don't understand what prejudice is, right? If I talk to somebody I'm not me, for example. I'm not trying to be harmful with somebody. I'm trying to relay my point of view, right? I'm not trying to cause ill will. But your baby Darth Dawkins is the actually opposite. He criticized everybody, non-believers and believers, because your stupid fucking Darth Dawkins has to be always right, right? So you actually projected, my man. Absolutely fucking projection.
Sitting there thinking, well, yeah, what do you say to that? That seems so reasonable. So you should be asking the unbeliever, what's the basis for your saying that?
Why? So basically, you're actually talking about why we're saying it, right? It doesn't matter if we are wrong, right? Even if we don't make any fucking sense, right? You correct us, right? You bring the tools to the table. Is it's because X, Y, Z. It's not because I read it in the fucking Bible and apply secularity, right? You are being dishonest.
The first prejudice is the assumption that the biblical text is no different from any other written document, which we find in our natural human experience throughout history.
It is man-made. What are you talking about, right? It's no different from any other fucking book, right? People wrote shit in the book, right? Bishops or whoever compiled it, cherry-picked, right? They been 100% arbitrary. They use a random choice. Oh, let's pick this, let's pick that. Your own fucking Christian people chose what books was to be selected as the Bible. Your own fucking people, your own Christian descendants did it.
Notice how I sucked you into this.
Not really. I'm zero impressed.
I said we all know what it's like to live in a home where a message is passed from one person to another and it doesn't turn out to be accurate. It's distorted by the time a person finally gets it.
Is that wrong? Or not wrong? Is that inaccurate? It is reasonable to assume that personal information could be wrong. Because in those days, nobody wrote it down and said, "Oh, hold on, let me write the instructions what you want verbatim, right? Or shall I read it back to you to see if the information that you relate to me is correct?" No, where the fuck am I? Oh, I get it. You want that? Then that 5 minutes on the line, what the fuck did he say? What did Bahnsen said? Oh, fucking hell, he was talking out of his ass. So I'm gonna make my own shit and pass it along. Yes, that shit happened.
What is it? I mean, I didn't put a red flag out there to say, watch out now. And this is what the unbeliever is going to do to you, not by malice, although sometimes. But
Say, not by malice. Of course it's not by malice.
The unbeliever doesn't realize he or she's doing this too. You notice what the prejudice is there? The prejudice is this book is like what? Any other book. This message passed down through the...
It is not harmful. It is not harmful. If we say that the book is the same as the other ones, we're not insulting the book. We are saying that the people were using the same criteria to do things like what we do right now. We are more precise because we got recorders that we can precisely capture what we're trying to express. Right? In the old days, it was word of mouth. Right? It's simple.
Ages is like any other message passed down through the ages.
It is, or it was.
But what if it happens to be a unique message? What if
it doesn't matter. You're an asshole, and that's a unique message. What's the difference?
it happens to have a unique authority?
Says who? Oh, it is a unique authority because the Bible says so. So you're committing a fallacy already.
What if it happens to have the absolute personal, all providential, all controlling, all knowing?
As an assertion, you are saying something that you haven't got a fucking clue. Yeah, you're making it authoritative just by saying it, okay? And repeating it or putting extra emphasis on it, right? The assertion does not make it true. Simple. You have not established that it's actual. Fact, actually, funny enough.
God behind it. You see, if that is true, then you can't treat it like any other kind of message, can you?
Oh, now the other fallacy is called special pleading, right? You treating it special. Let's see how special your book is.
To assume that, in my experience, all other messages tend to be corrupted when they're passed from one person to another. Therefore, it's true of this book as well, is to say this book's like no other book.
Yeah, read the four main Gospels of the New Testament, and they do not match. It's a dead giveaway, right?
It is exactly like the other books, rather than being a unique book in my experience. If the Bible is as it claims to be,
the Bible doesn't claim anything. It's just a set of words. It doesn't claim fuck all. Remember, when you say Bible, you're saying a compilation of books. The Bible is not one book.
Inspired word of Almighty God, then the history of its textual transmission.
So the inspired word, there are contradictions in the Bible. How fucking inspired?
May very well be quite different from other human documents, since God would have ordained that its text be preserved with greater integrity than that of ordinary books.
And still there are contradictions. Fucking funny.
Okay, so that's the first indication of prejudice, and that was unargued, right? The unbeliever didn't come in and say, no, the book is not as it claims to be, a unique book under the providential care of God.
No. You're using the character of the book to prove its authority. Circular argument. That's dumb.
The second
and you got doctorate to say bullshit. I hope you did not get paid in that lecture.
indication of prejudice is that the unbeliever does not offer any concrete evidence that some medieval monk tampered with the text before us today. When unbelievers say things like that,
you got variances. What are you talking about?
The remark is simply and arbitrarily advanced as a hypothesis to be endorsed for its likelihood, given your assumptions and prejudices.
Why you think that we're being harmful to the book? Right? We're not causing any ill will. You got it wrong. You throw in the word prejudicial conjecture. You haven't proven that. You're just saying it.
Rather than endorsed because of its empirical credentials.
Empirical credential? Oh, God. Equal true.
If we want to play that way, of course, we could, with equal arbitrariness...
Hold on. Equal arbitrariness. So, are you saying that you use the same technique that you're actually criticizing the unbeliever? Oh, so you are special as well. Oh, bless you.
Conjecture that the words which came down to us as Paul's were actually written not years later than Paul, but were written years before the time of Paul. Arbitrariness is a fickle friend to the scholar. Cut loose from any demand for evidence, we could believe any number of conflicting things.
Well, believing is irrelevant. It's what is fact. Okay? It doesn't matter what anybody believes.
The point here is the unbeliever has thought he or she could just say, well, it just seems like common sense to me, and arbitrarily say that. Thirdly, as an indication of prejudice in this criticism, we see that the unbeliever has not taken account of the actual evidence which is publicly available regarding the text of Scripture.
No, what you have is copies of a copy translated several times. If you want to call that evidence, okay, so be it.
My second criticism was they didn't think they needed evidence at all. My third criticism, or indication of prejudice, is that there is a great deal of evidence there and they haven't bothered to even look at it. If the critic had taken time to look into the subject, he or she would not have offered the outlandish evaluation of the biblical text as being unreliable.
It is unreliable. People wrote it and they've got mistakes. They got contradictions. That's not even open to discussion. But you precepts want to be narrow-minded.
This fact came home to me with great strength or force after I took an advanced course in graduate
Oh, so you're a Jedi as well, yeah? You're Darth Dawkins.
School on the philosophy of Plato. In this course, we were required to do textual criticism of the literary corpus of Plato's works. So let me just, I know you're not fascinated by Plato.
Yes, we're not fascinated at all. Now you're just rambling.
Not necessarily, but let me use this as an illustration.
That's called filibustering anyway.
Our earliest known manuscript, our earliest extant manuscript of a work by Plato dates from right before
Oh, manuscript. You're going to talk about manuscript. Let's talk about manuscripts.
900 AD. It's the manuscript known as Oxford B, and it was found in a Patmos monastery by E.B. Clarke.
Okay.
Now you have to remember that Plato is thought to have written these manuscripts roughly 350 years before Christ. And the first copy we have of these manuscripts written 350 years before Christ dates from 900, or just before 900 AD. And so there you have a gap between the original writing...
Okay, original writing, go.
And the earliest document we have as a copy of 1200 years. By contrast, the earliest fragments of the New Testament...
Fragment. Emphasis on fragment. Let's see when you're gonna say it.
Date less than 50 years.
Wrong. You are absolutely fucking wrong. You're lying sod. You're saying fragment as P52.
After the original writing.
After the original writing. Okay.
Fragments. The bulk of our important extant manuscripts date...
The bulk, you mean the made up stuff? Because if you got a scrap of something and then you got a bulk of something and you haven't got any originals, how the fuck do you know that this is the original copy of whatever?
From 200 to 300 years after the original composition.
Original composition? You don't know what the fuck original composition is. You don't know. It could have been 1 month before, i.e. 190 years afterwards. So you've been fucking dishonest. Okay? If you say something, a bulk of something is 200 years after Jesus, if that fucking idiot existed, right, it could have been written 50 years before. Right?
And the text of the New Testament which we have is remarkably uniform and well established.
You can write any story, right? The laws of the ring have been established correctly. You're going to be 1 million years after in the future, and it says, hey, look at that. It's all consistent. Of course, because we got the technology to make it so. That doesn't make it fucking real, you idiot.
And the reliability of the Old Testament text has been demonstrated to the surprise of scholars by the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail here, but it's a fascinating field if you want to pursue it more. Some estimates given by scholars who have studied painstakingly the different manuscripts of the New Testament and the Testament.
Yeah, but you said, idiot, at the beginning that 80% of us say things inconsistently, and we are arbitrary, right? So get it right. You cherry picking your own fucking arguments, right? 80%, you said at the beginning, say whatever they want to say, and they're not saying consistently. And now,
testimony that we have from literary evidence leads them to conclude that the text of the New Testament has been established with certainty in about 98%.
Bullshitter
bullshit.
Alert. Bullshitter
Absolutely
alert.
bullshit.
Warning.
98%. You mean
Bullshitter
98% wrong.
Bullshitter alert.
How can you make that
Warning.
assertion
Bullshitter
when you don't have any
alert.
originals? That's ignorance. That's dishonesty. That's the whole point about this fucking video, right? And I was reaching the 10 to 12 minute mark, which is right now, of the actual video. I've been going a little bit longer, but I'm definitely going to end it here because this is what I wanted to depict. This idiot says that 98% is accurate with certainty, right? With certainty. This scumbag saying that it is factual.
Of the cases of the words and lines of the New Testament. Now,
right, now I'm going to leave it here, okay? I'm going to leave it here because it's too much bullshit, okay? What I just wanted to present here is that he's being dishonest, right? I cannot stand 2 hours listen to this idiot, right? Making assertions after assertions after assertions after assertion, and then say that we're making conjectures. Everything that came out of his mouth fucking was in conjecture, not us. Everything was his projection. Okay, and this is the actual end of the video. I hope you liked it. Sorry about how I express my things, but I'm going impromptu here. Okay, I don't like to prepare too many things, right? Because I like to say it as I see it, right? I'm not a fake like fucking Darth Dawkins. So until next time. Have a nice one, ladies and gentlemen. You're all infidels.